Welcome back, everybody. 10 after the hour, and I just received a text message from Sabrina Fendrick. She's stuck on a bus in Washington, D.C., so we're going to wait until she texts me back, and then we will get her on the line. We are continuing our look at Child Protective Services. This is our CPS week here at 420 Radio, and it's like Sarah was saying in the earlier segment, this is bigger than just CPS using marijuana as a way to get at kids. It's the way that brings us into this issue, but the issue is far bigger than just marijuana. There are so many horror stories about Child Protective Services, and she briefly mentioned one of them. That was the terrible case of Alexandria Hill, a young girl who was taken by Child Protective Services, put in the care of a foster mom who then shook her to death. Basically killed this little 2-year-old girl. And this is one of the reasons why I find this week of shows so important. Because the statistics that we know about Child Protective Services and foster care show that a child kept even with their abusive parent is likely to be treated better than a child that ends up in foster care. Now, this is not to denigrate some of the people working in foster care, some of the foster families, like the ones that are taking care of Lily, who are good people and trying to do good thing to help kids. And this set of shows is not to say that there isn't a need for Child Protective Services. Indeed, there are abusive, horrific parents out there, and the children need to be protected. But as happens often in government, we have a situation where there's good intentions. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and CPS is paved with a lot of good intentions, folks. And later on this week, we are going to be talking to people that are going to give you such a look at the insides of CPS that it'll cause you to really want to rethink how we do this in America. Coming up on tomorrow's show, our guest will be Charmy Goulson. In the first hour, she's with Moms United, I believe, out in Michigan, and she's been working with a few cases out there, and also on the family law system in general. So she'll be on tomorrow's show, and then in hour 2, we're hoping to speak with Diane Fornbacher. It may be a pre-recorded interview because I don't think she can be on that late on the East Coast. But Diane Fornbacher is the managing publisher of Ladybud. If you check out ladybud.com, there are many good articles on this CPS that can give you some even more background information on what we're doing. On Thursday's show, our guest will be Diane Goldstein. She is one of the board members from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. She's going to try to give us the cop perspective on CPS and what's going on, especially with some cases that are going on in California. And then in the second hour, we'll be speaking with Mark Reinhart. Mark Reinhart is a blogger that I met here in Idaho. He has a blog called Idaho Calling. And he has been doing some investigative research and done some public records requests, Freedom of Information Act requests on Child Protective Services, on their funding, on their incentive programs. And talking with Mark on Thursday, I think, is just going to blow your mind, because that's where we're going to learn how broadly this CPS problem has expanded across the country and through so many different angles, not just the medical marijuana angle. And then on Friday, to conclude our special Moms for Marijuana and CPS week, we'll be speaking with Sarah Arnold, a.k.a. Sarah Kant. She is out of Boston, Massachusetts, and she is with the Family Law and Cannabis Alliance. This is her work. This is her area of expertise. She'll be telling us all about family law and some of the terrible cases that have gone down on the East Coast. And then on Friday, in hour 2, we'll be speaking with Lindsay Reinhart, and no relation to Mark Reinhart from the day before. Lindsay Reinhart is now in Southern Oregon. She's with Southern Oregon Moms for Marijuana and the Undergreen Railroad. Lindsay was Idaho's medical marijuana petitioner until CPS took her children and intimidated and scared her out of Idaho and into Oregon so she could treat her multiple sclerosis. But the more we hear about these cases of parents, even in the medical marijuana states, having to deal with Child Protective Services and losing custody, it's got her scared as well, even though she is there in the state of Oregon. All right, I just got the text from Sabrina Fendrick. We'll see if we can get her on the line here. She's with the NORML National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. She's the Women's Outreach Coordinator and one of the founders of the NORML Women's Alliance. We'll add her to the call here, and let's see if we can connect to her in Washington, D.C. You can find out more about NORML at norml.org and normalwomen.org.
Hello?
Hello, Sabrina. It's Russ.
Hi, Russ. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We know how the bus system is. I live on the bus in Portland, so I don't blame you for wanting to get out of that before you get on the air. But welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I will give you a warning ahead of time that our automated system will take a break at 20 after. It's a union rule. We have to. But we'll come back after that break and continue to speak with you as well, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I wanted to find out your take. You know, we spoke in our first hour with Sarah Frank from Moms for Marijuana about a case up in Spokane with child custody, and you're working with NORML and doing outreach there. I imagine you must get calls every week having to deal with these situations of parents and marijuana use. Can you give us some of your experience on this?
Yeah, we definitely get contacted every single week relating to this issue. A lot of time it's a mother or a family. Other times it's lawyers who want to have their names added to the list. This is just kind of, and reporters are starting to cover the story more and more, which is really good, I think, because it might seem like it's a growing problem, but I think it's an existing problem that's just being paid attention to.
And what is the situation across the medical marijuana states? We know now there are 20 medical marijuana states. Do you have any idea on the range of protections they offer for parents?
So far, I don't know of any.
Wow.
That are actually like in a book, legal protections. I think it's generally up to the local children's services division whether or not they want to go after particular individuals for what they may deem unfit parenting. But we've been talking on the phone with Sharon in Georgia, who's putting together legislative ideas, and we were speaking with the women at the ACLU to incorporate language into the law to provide protection to parents.
This is
I'm walking.
I understand. This is good to hear that other groups are getting involved in this. Is NORML reaching out on this issue to other, women's groups or other groups that are interested in parents' rights?
Absolutely. We just joined up with the Family Law and Cannabis Alliance, which is
the law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights.
Sabrina.
Please do not give up your precious liberties.
We'll be right back.
There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak to my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215. Or on the web at www.
Hello?
out here on the road, folks, so the Liebermater is on remote, and she does what she chooses to do. But it's 20 after, so it's time to take that special break, and when we come back, we'll have Sabrina Fendrick on the line from NORML. Stick around.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
I'm a reefer smoking man.
Wood Pipe Smoke Shop and Speakeasy is your source for cannabis community gear in southern Wisconsin. Owners Brian and Tammy Wood are located in Kendall, just outside of Madison, and they've got everything for the smoking enthusiast, including a full assortment of pipes, water pipes, hookahs, bubblers, one-hitters, and so much more. They're open noon to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday and can help you with your detoxification therapies as well. Call 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com for more information. That's 608-466-7473 or email woodpipes@yahoo.com. And as always, go pack go. 420radio.org presents Canna Truths with Denton Ramsey from Waco, Texas, every Thursday at noon Pacific, with replays Friday at 5 a.m., Sunday at 5 p.m., and Mondays at midnight, right here on 420radio.org.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 22 after the hour. We're on the line with Sabrina Fendrick in Washington, D.C. She's the Women's Outreach Coordinator for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and one of the founders of the NORML Women's Alliance. And Sabrina, your business card just keeps getting bigger and bigger, doesn't it?
Yep. I wear many hats.
That's right. Well, in our business, we have to, don't we? Yeah. So Sabrina and I were talking about Child Protective Services and the fact that NORML in Washington, D.C. gets calls all the time from parents who are dealing with family law situations with respect to their use of marijuana. And I'm wondering, Sabrina, if you have advice for parents out there who might be cannabis consumers and might, what they can do to protect themselves in these situations.
Well, the first thing would be to not let anybody inside your home. If they come to the door, if they don't have a warrant, then they have no right to come inside, and you don't have to let them in, no matter how much they try to scare you. You've every right. You tell them that you're going to call your lawyer, look up a lawyer on the NORML legal committee list, find one in your area, and don't do anything until you speak to one of them. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mothers who are very active in reform efforts. Make sure to educate those around you and your children about the difference between what is perceived and what it may be taught in schools as to the D.A.R.E program and versus what you are doing and the work you are doing fighting for a just cause. But my best advice would be to educate yourself as much as possible, know your rights, and make sure to have a point of contact for legal advice.
You briefly mentioned D.A.R.E, and that's something, I'm a little bit older, so I managed to get out of school before D.A.R.E was established. But I'm wondering how much does D.A.R.E interface with family law? Because I imagine if that cop comes into the classroom and he's showing off the example drugs and one of the kids goes, "Oh, look, Maui Wowie," or, whatever, does that cop then turn and call in CPS to investigate the family?
Well, I went through the D.A.R.E program, and I can explain exactly what they do, which is so unbelievably fucked up. Excuse my language.
No FCC here.
After they go and, try to scare all the children about different kinds of drugs, they then ask you to write down any behavior or anything that might sound like the type of behavior that they've been describing, that if they are seeing that in their home. And then you turn in that form And I mean, I was in 5th grade, I remember, and they, what do you know? People are having a drink after work. Who knows what they're doing, smoking a cigarette? But the child doesn't really know much of what's going on. They just see, they're trying to give as broad a picture as possible, so as many students think they fall within that. And then that's how they pretty much catch or try to go after the parents, is by making the kids fill out a form saying that they saw their parents do it.
So like
the other kids narc on their parents. Yeah,
so like hypothetically they might say, does mom or dad ever go outside and then come back in smelling funny? And that could be a Swisher Sweet, that could be a cigar, that could be pot, we don't know, but the kid wouldn't know. They would just say, sure, yeah, that happens.
Or, does your parent act irritated? Is there a lot of yelling going on? For example, I remember, I would say my parents would have a drink after work when they come home, and they, not even close to what anyone would consider an abusive drinker at all. But, my dad had a temper, so I would see that he would drink, and then I would also see, because they would ask, do they act a certain way? But I wasn't putting together the drinking and the behavior. I was just spatially completely different scenarios and situations. But I put down on my sheet, I was like, yeah, they drink and he has a temper, but they're not related. But on the form, the law enforcement or the cops thought I was implying that it was. They took me into a room. They called my parents, and my mom was like, what are they telling you, and what are you telling them? Because everything that they tried to make it sound like I was describing was absolutely not true. Man. So they also wanted to distort whatever it is a child says. They basically confuse you, distort what you think you know, and then try to go after your parents for that.
Wow. And so this is the D.A.R.E program. This is, it's a police state tactic, really, to get, kids to try to narc on their parents. It's just insane. And I talked to a lot of D.A.R.E graduates who tell me that the first time they ever saw drugs was D.A.R.E. They never saw it in school, never thought about it until D.A.R.E showed up.
Yep. And then you have to write an essay about why you won't do drugs. I actually found my essay recently from 5th grade. My mom saved all of that stuff. It's really funny to read now.
I think that would make a good post. Sounds interesting.
It would be. And not that drug education is a bad thing, but education needs to be based in reality and based on facts and not fear tactics and propaganda, which is the problem. They need to teach harm reduction, not whatever it is that they're teaching now, which is just fear-mongering and narking on your parents.
Yeah. Okay. Now, on the activism side of this, working with NORML and working with NORML Women's Alliance, are there any particular projects in the works as far as working on CPS and family law?
Yeah, I've been in touch with the Family Law and Cannabis Alliance. Of course, we always support Moms for Marijuana whenever we can. But I just connected with this new organization about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So we're going to jump on a call very soon to talk about different kinds of things we can do. We're probably going to come up with a rapid response informational sheet or information content that can, go through the steps of what happens, what you can do, different options you can take, just all the full spectrum of the situation, and also different contact information for lawyers as well as, social workers who have contacted us personally to say that they have seen this going on and they don't approve of it. Just basically information, because like you said, there isn't a lot out there to help parents in this situation. It's kind of starting to come together over the last couple of years as there's been big cases on it, the Green family in Michigan and Daisy Brame and, little Alex Hill, who died in child custody in Texas a couple of months ago, which is just devastating. They took her away from her parents because the father admitted to smoking weed after she had gone to bed, and they removed her and put her in a home with a woman that ended up killing her, beating her head into the ground and killing her. Yeah. deadly.
That's probably the most horrific story that we've heard in a while on this CPS thing. But, you know, even when the child isn't dying, we're often talking about taking kids away when, you know, up until the age of 6, it's your most formative years. And is there any indication from, you know, scientists or you know, pediatricians or anybody on the traumatic effect of separating the family and how that is probably worse than anything we could imagine the pot would do?
I know that there have been studies on the traumatic effects of separating a family with regards to separating a family because of a drug charge or the thoughts that drugs are in the home. I don't know if that specifically has been studied, but there's, hundreds of studies that have come out showing that, like you said, a young child who's removed from their parents' home before, you know, the age of 6 or 8 will have a hugely detrimental effect on them, on their development, on their psyche. I mean, those are extremely important developmental years when, the child is learning about how a stable environment and functioning, loving family and stability. So it's definitely extremely traumatic.
You know,
and for the parents.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. This is terrible. You know, the worst nightmare of any parent is to lose their kid, to have them, taken away. So this is just awful. To wrap things up, Sabrina, I just want to ask if, we've talked to people in medical marijuana states who it doesn't seem that helps, that they have a medical marijuana card. Now we've got 2 states, Washington and Colorado, that have legalized. Is that going to help in any way in these family cases, that it's legal now in Washington and Colorado?
I'm hoping. I've put a couple of feelers out asking if anybody has heard of any situations since the election last year, and there have not been any cases that brought to my attention or any of our affiliates' attention in Colorado or Washington after, November 2012.
Okay.
So far so good, but I'm hoping to get in touch or get somebody out in Washington in touch with the Child Protective Services Office to actually get a formal statement from them saying what their policy is going to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eye out for that. And of course, we'll keep our eye on the NORML website and NORML Women's Alliance on your latest updates on that. Give people some contact information if they want to get involved with this, if they want to learn more.
Absolutely. You can, check out the NORML Women website, normal.org/women. You can email me, sabrina@normal.org. And of course, follow us on Facebook.com/normal or Twitter handle normal. And, we'll be in touch. You can contact me on Twitter as well. Sabrina Normal is my Twitter name. And, I can get you in touch. I can put you in touch with other people, get you some information, whatever it is you may need. I can help facilitate.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on your commute and all the hard work you're doing out there in Washington, D.C. to help all these parents and help cannabis consumers of all stripes. Thank you so much, Sabrina.
Thanks, Russ.
All right, we're going to take a break here in just a second, and when we come back, we'll have some time to discuss some more of the stories that we covered today, and one of those, the drug testing story out of West Virginia. I ran out of time. I wanted to get a little ranty on it, so we're going to take some time, do a little ranting. In the meantime, bob your effing head, and we'll be right back.
You smoke trees till you get what you need now. Designer drugs and minted smokes to get through the day. You always get them so high.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisements because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Just pop fucking head.